a gorilla off the back.
Fat boy Rob, shite. Cass got a taste of their own medicine. Wakey slowed the pail, played the ball down, and that clueless twat let them throw into. I think he's referring to our refereeing colleague there. Throw in some piss poor defence and a non-existent attack, and you lose the Dingles for the first time since Mark had a full head of hair. Shite. Wakey scored a couple of decent tries. Shite. P.S. Shite.
That's a pretty fair assessment, that, because was it 2015? So I don't think I've paid for many haircuts since 2015, let's put it that way. Yeah.
I was amazed at how good Wakefield were and how average Cass were in this game. I was not expecting it at all.
Do you know what struck me, watching the first half in particular? It reminded me of the game last week with Leeds against Wigan. They reminded me of Leeds in that they attacked the game from the start with the right focus, the right attitude, and Cass didn't approach it in the same way. They were probably maybe a bit coming off the back of what they'd jokingly called Radford's grand final against Hull, coming off the back of this record that they've had, the 17 in a row against the neighbours. I don't know that they approached it the right way, whereas Wakefield definitely did.
Really did.
Yeah. And I'd look at it like I talked about for Wigan last week. I think it's probably one to just move on from for Cass. They were beaten by a side that got it right against them, that were the better side, and the more learning is how you approach the game before it starts than really what happened in the 80 minutes for me from a Cass perspective. But from Wakefield, absolutely huge. They were brilliant. Yeah,
they were. They played really, really good rugby. Any side would have been pleased with the way in which they attacked that game. The intensity was superb right from the start, and they created chances and took them.
Yeah, they attacked well up the field. They attacked well coming off their own line. They were first to loose balls. They won so many of the collisions. I think Lewis Murphy continues to impress, doesn't he? The two tries from him, they showed his range of abilities. There was the one with the jump and then the wherewithal to realise he wasn't held and get the fight for the score. And then there was the pace, the raw pace that he showed on that break from deep. Both of them set up by Jacob Miller, who was exceptional in the game. I think it's clear, doesn't it, that he doesn't want to leave Wakefield as a relegated side. It's obvious that is leaving from everything we hear and the way he responded to the questioning after the game. But he shows his motivation right now is still to keep Wakefield up and get the best for Wakefield. So that, you can only say that he's doing his job, and he certainly did in this match.
Certainly did. I thought he was my man of the match anyway. I thought he had a terrific game. I like Miller, actually. He's not always been consistently good for Wakefield, but I've seen enough of him to say he's clearly a very talented halfback, and he certainly put that on display on Friday night.
Yeah, defo. Jake Mamo failed a HIA, so he is going to miss next week's game for Castleford. But there was news that George Griffin has signed a new 3-year contract extension with the Tigers, securing his future until the end of 2025. And the other notable news relating to these sides is injury news for Wakefield. Real blow for them, because the recently signed recruit George Tafua, he suffered a season-ending injury against ULOT, didn't he? He broke his arm trying to tackle Conrad Hurrell last week in that Golden Point game that we talked about. So that's a shame for him, but it does mean more opportunities for the likes of Lewis Murphy. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a massive, massive, massive win for Wakefield. And, I mean, Toulouse are up against it now. This little run of games at home for Toulouse was really important for them, and in the hope of being able to stay up, and it's not gone brilliantly well. I mean, I think it's certainly advantaged Wakefield now in the run into relegation.
Yeah, it was massive, and they kind of admitted, didn't they, that whilst Poaching was saying all the right things, the players obviously had one eye on that result in the south of France. and that result was finalised just before this game kicked off. So they will have known about it, and maybe that gave them just that extra drive. But I think they clearly prepared well for this game, and to come back off the back of that Golden Point game and the disappointment of that, I think it does show something that we saw in this Wakefield side last year when poaching first took over. Some character in there. They just haven't really shown it this year. So we'll see now if that's going to, see them through to the end of the season. A team that you can seriously question whether they've got character is up next as we move on to Saturday. Huddersfield versus Warrington. Warrington being the team with that character question mark. They were leading again in this game like they have been so many times this year. 12-10 before déjà vu again, as Darryl Powell put it. Huddersfield 32-22 winners in the end. 4,549 was the crowd. Tom Grant was the referee. Big metre wins for Huddersfield. Over 350 more metres at nearly 1 metre per carry better average gain. 6 break to 2 as well, despite 5 more errors for the Giants. So it does suggest on the stats that the Giants were worthy of the win and got in their own way as much as anything else to not win by a bigger margin. That said, when I listened to the game, it did feel more even than those stats say.
Yeah, and I didn't listen to this, but I caught the highlights, and certainly Warrington were, well and truly in the game until, relatively late on, when Huddersfield just finished the game better, got their noses in front and finished the game off. For the winning Huddersfield side, Will Price, 1 try, 5 tackle busts and 132 metres. His try was really nice footwork. Joe Greenwood, 125 metres. Owen Trout, a try and 121 metres. Theo Farge, 1 try assist and 119 metres, and lots of little grubber kicks near the line. For the losers, Matt Duffy, 1 try assist, 9 tackle busts, and 110 metres.
Yep, coming up roses said, really poor game from Warrington. How they are still backing Powell is beyond me. He has no excuse for the position they are in. One of the richest clubs in Super League. He's had a pre-season with them and brought in players and still can't turn it around. Powell clearly not the man. Highlight, that flick pass from Golding to Jones for his try was a thing of beauty. Yeah, that tells you don't give up on plays. The ball was going out. The Warrington defender seemed to just let it, almost give up on that. And Golding didn't and flicked it back inside, and a try resulted. And it was, one of those tries that started that comeback. Yeah,
I thought it was my try highlight of the week. Most exciting try. Although Salford scored some belting tries against Saints.
Salford have some try of the season contenders to talk about later on.
I have to say some of them were quite good. Mark W. Poor discipline and daft errors from us gave Warrington too many chances early on, but once we cleaned that up, we looked much better and earned the win back. English, Hewitt, Greenwood and Trout were immense, but I couldn't help but notice that whenever anyone's head dropped, Ash Golding was right in there talking them round. His infectious attitude and enthusiasm won us that game. He could well be our future captain.
Neil Ormston said, I'm not ashamed to say I didn't go to the game. It's not hard to find alternative things to do than watch this team at the minute. People seem to suggest that the wire won't go down due to the teams behind them having too much ground to make up and not enough time to do it. However, we seem to be making a habit of throwing away seemingly insurmountable leads from a position where that seems unlikely. I'm not sure why anyone would be confident that we won't do that in the overall league season either. We just need this season to end as quickly as possible, but need another win to make sure the next one isn't in the Championship. And we just can't seem to close out a game to get it. The Toulouse match in a fortnight is beginning to feel like our £1 million game.
Yeah, I still think you're safe, Neil, but I absolutely sympathise with
I don't see Toulouse making 2 wins and the points difference margin up. But...
Nope. Rich Owen says, rinse and repeat at the moment for the wire. 20-odd points scored, 30-odd points conceded. Nothing Powell's done has been able to change a thing in recent weeks, and he doesn't seem to have the answers. We play okay for 60 minutes, but that other 20 minutes we completely collapse. We're looking worryingly over our shoulder at Wakey and Toulouse. It's time to make a change. Powell is not the answer.
And on that theme, but with even stronger sentiment, EFC78, you said, what a remainder of the season we will be having after bottling the lead away from home. Powell is not the right man to take us forward. Agent Darrell is on a mission to send Wire down to the Championship and play in the Summer Bash. The players are not fit to wear the shirt either. All I can say to this is fuck off Darrell Powell, and all his coaching staff can do that too. It was the best start until we decided to concede like always. This is just getting into an embarrassment since we bottled the lead away from home. Gutted that Dufty is already injured on his debut. Our players are not fit to wear the shirt. Powell and his backroom coaching staff are like secret agents for Castleford. I don't think they give a shit about Castleford anymore, but sending us down to the Championship and on the road to the Summer Bash. Powell and his coaching team can fuck off. I don't know if he realised he'd sent in one match review and then sent in one very similarly, or just really wanted to emphasise the point that Powell and his coaching team can fuck off.
He sounds convinced by that.
Wire are a story in their own demise again, aren't they? In lots of ways, it seems like the focus is on them giving up another win rather than Huddersfield coming back and earning one.
Yeah, I mean, as always in these things, it's a tale of both sides, isn't it? So, Huddersfield did fight their way back into the game and did well, scored some nice tries, determinedly won. But Warrington are making too much of a habit of this, and you can absolutely understand the frustration. I can understand the frustration that Warrington fans have got with the coach and the playing staff at the moment. It must be incredibly annoying to see teams do this.
It seems like the newest signing, Dufty, had some nice involvements in attack. I certainly heard his name mentioned a lot in the radio commentary, so that's a positive, I guess. But it does seem like he's picked up a foot injury. He's going to have scans on that this week. Thomas McKaylee also limped off in the game, one of the other recent signings from the NRL, and he'll be assessed. So I haven't seen any follow-up yet to say what the consequences of that is, whether they'll be out for the game against Wigan. But I expect Dufty to play. But how often can we keep saying the same thing about Warrington and the collapses?
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I only watched the highlights, Mark, but there was a lot of penalties that Wire chose to take 2 points from, and kicked. Very nice goal kicking actually by Ratchford. But when they had the noses in front, you just wonder whether they are so anxious now about the position that they're in that they are not following their instincts and going for the throat to try and kill the game.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
They seem to be eking out leads and not getting far enough ahead. While they've got the ball deep in their opponent's halves. I don't know.
We talked about Toulouse.
They might be getting too nervous.
Yeah, we talked about Toulouse and Wakefield doing this taking the two thing last week, and are they good enough to be doing that, those sides? And what gave Warrington the confidence that winning by a small margin is going to be something they could do? Because they've played 21 games in Super League this year and a couple of games in the Cup, and how often has a defence been good enough? Maybe 2 games all year. So what's to make them think that their defence is going to be good enough to win them a game when they're kicking twos? They needed to try and stamp more authority on it, I think, as well. Yeah. So I agree with what you're saying, because grinding their way to a win, edging out a victory, that's not in their DNA this year. Or if it was, we wouldn't be talking every week about a collapse in the last 20 minutes.
No, exactly.
This time, I think the Joe Bullock sin binning seems to be the catalyst for the collapse, because they were leading by 2 scores at that point. He probably had to do what he did to try and stop a try being scored, where he pulled the guy back going through chasing a kick. But Huddersfield took full advantage in that period. That's where they won it. They went from being 2 scores down to a score up, and that was when there was the Smith try and stuff. The Price try, and I think before that, in ways, Warrington seemed to be the equal of Huddersfield throughout most of that game. But then when they concede tries like that Adam O'Brien one, for example, copying Toulouse's goal line defence, how they think that they can then do that sort of thing, but be a side that wins by kicking penalties. They need to realise what they are, and then not a good defensive side this year. They might have a couple of good defensive moments, or performances, but they're not a good defensive side. We should give some credit to the Giants, shouldn't we?